Alright fellas, these are some stream highlights from Artie and Fist, Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. in Across the Pond time. The link to the full stream is in the description. Here's what you can expect.
So let's get on to the Lindsay. Man, I love this post. But surely we will both drown. Woke, said the scorpion. Woke right. Just look at this picture, man. I don't know where you got this from, Artie, but this is freaking just amazing.
Honestly, there's a lot of spelling mistakes when I post things in the morning because I literally wake up and with my tired brain have thoughts and see things and need to get it out before I fully wake up. So this video just came out today. This describes what we are feeling with the Lindsayites on the internet. Okay.
Wait, what's the name of this guy's channel, by the way? Because this is pretty good.
Remnant 777. His editing is immaculate. He put super high effort into these videos. Remnant 777.
Yep. Shout out. This is a good video. Thanks, man.
All be all. Firstly, we have to understand them, know exactly what drives them. And at their core, they are very antisocial people who are extremely insecure. That is where a lot of their obnoxious behavior stems from. Now, let me give you an example here. Let's say that you were talking to one of these midwits and you said, "The weather outside looks beautiful." Off of that statement alone, they're gonna rush into it and say, "Yes, it is." And that happens because of the high pressure systems over our heads. You see, the clear skies happen when the air sinks instead of rising in the way that the sunlight scatters through the atmosphere. And it's like, right, we haven't even talked about what we even mean by beauty and how we can prove what beauty is at the end of the day. Oh my word. Just shut up. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about whatever you're saying right there. We have all had this happen to us. We've had this person who goes on an extremely long tangent that nobody cares about, just for the sole purpose of demonstrating how much they've read on Wikipedia. And the reason why they do this is because when you interact with them, is what is always at the center of their mind is, how can I take this opportunity to show the people around me how smart and knowledgeable I am? Which at the end of the day is rotten to the core because it is only self-serving. And people can sense this. We all sense this coming.
Just pause it. I'm going to end up stealing the video. I'm just going to end up watching the entire video, dude. It's such a fucking spot-on, succinct, well-made, well-edited, highly produced video of exactly... I am so James Lindsay brained, okay? Because he just keeps giving. He's a giver with a hard R. Where I was like, oh, he's going to bring up James Lindsay. That's how accurate and fucking maps onto reality it was with that and the Lindsayites. I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to do that.
This is why they can't help but reach for the one ring, right? Which is to call people racist and Nazis, right? And like all James has done is invented a couple of new words, right? That basically mean racist and Nazi, right? And then redeploy them in a hope that people like won't notice. It's exactly the same fucking thing.
I know, but the midwit video is so fucking on point, though, because he's trying to sound smart, but it's only to people, like, he's alienating anyone that ever tried to agree with him every day. I don't even know who he has left at this point.
This is Jordan Henry for the second day in a row. The second day. So he didn't just do it once. Matt Walsh has transgressed twice. He has explicitly made the friend-enemy distinction. Oh no, bros, right? Matt Walsh thinks that some people are his friends and other people are his enemies, specifically the people who are killing his friends. How horrible.
So they love plausible deniability with a lot of their speech, okay? So a concept penned by Carl Schmitt, which to the reader might suggest he created it or originated something, but that simply means he wrote it down.
Yeah, and not only that, right? A concept penned by Carl Schmitt, chief jurist of the Third Reich. What the fuck does that mean? Oh, it means he's a Nazi, right? And therefore, because he's a Nazi, right?
Yeah.
If you like, it's literally just just call him a Nazi, right? Like, look, Schmitt, right? Particularly when he was writing the concept of the political, was against both the communists and the Nazis, right? And he was bemoaning the intense polarization in Weimar Germany. And it was not until the Reichstag fire that like he came around and reluctantly backed Hindenburg choosing Hitler to be Führer, right? These people, they act right as though all of this shit that was going on in Weimar Germany was happening in a time of like perfect peace, right? Like they're just hanging out in the Cotswolds, right? In like England on a beautiful summer's day, right? And they just wake up and they're like, we're going to be complete dicks now. Dude, there was like street violence, assassinations, arson, for fuck's sake, the parliament got like burned down, right? Like, you know, Germany nearly got subsumed by a communist revolution in 1918. They never teach you that shit in school. Gee, I wonder why, right? That communist revolution, that aborted communist revolution, was what literally birthed the Weimar Republic, right? And because it wasn't a complete solution either way, the KPD, the Communist Party, who birthed anti-fascist action, by the way, right? The original Antifa, right? They deployed street muscle to like do assassinations, beatings, arson, and the only force that could oppose them, that had enough street muscle to oppose them, right, were the National Socialists, right? So at this point, the entirety of Germany was not only riven by like street violence, but also hyperinflation, mass degeneracy, like the government like stopped working. It's not like they just woke up one day, oh, what a lovely day outside. I think I'll, you know, do the enabling act, right? Like, oh my God, I'm so fucking sick of people like just having a complete misunderstanding of like history. And also, right, I've seen the Lindsay orbiters do this a lot, right? So you'll take something like the friend-enemy distinction, right? And I think Matt is basically, he's not really talking about Schmitt. He's just basically saying, look, we have to distinguish between who are our friends and who are our enemies, right? This is a concept like literally as old as time, right?
To add on to this, I started feeling this way probably like 4 or 5 years ago when Gavin McInnes would say he doesn't like to punch right. And I was like, yeah, like I don't really care to like criticize the right like at all. With all the like nothing they do on the right is crazier than the shit I see on the left. And then so I started implementing on the channel. I'm like, let me pick a target. And then if like Tim Pool is on screen, I'm not going to do a preamble or a preface or Steven Crowder. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I don't like all of it. No, I don't care. I don't think about them at all. I'm targeting the fucking left. And whoever I have to use on the right to target the left is what I'm going to do. All I care about is targeting the left. I've had that mindset for like a while now. Since the Charlie Kirk assassination, it's like, we need to stop arguing with each other on the right. We have to like unify more than ever before. That's how I'm interpreting what, oh, actually, can we play the what Matt Walsh actually said in that video?
Yeah, let's hear the words of Matt woke right Walsh, right?
He's fascist!
Secretly a Nazi and a fascist.
Nazi!
Probably a racist as well, right? What's his next documentary going to be? What is a racist?
That if I walk out of this building and I get killed, that every conservative, even the ones that I've feuded with, that they will not be happy about that. They will mourn that. They will mourn that. And the same if it happened to any of us, they'll mourn it. Even the people, the conservatives didn't like us. But I also know that on the left, they won't share in that mourning for the most part. And so kind of the friend-enemy distinction is easy for me to see. Mm-hmm. The people who will mourn your death are your friends. The people who will dance on your grave and laugh in the face of your grieving wife are your enemies in this battle. And so that's where the unity needs to come.
Yeah, the wretched demons, honestly.
I mean, it's not wrong.
So
right? I mean, like,
he said he understands it. He said it makes sense to him. He's not even full-throated, like saying anything.
How can you gainsay a very reasonable statement like that, right? If someone who would like kill you, right, and dance on your grave, right, and kill your wife and children, if that person is not your enemy, then what the fuck, like, what does the word even mean at that point, right? The word just dematerial, like, you're basically like, oh, you know, no one can be my enemy. Like, oh my God, fuck off.
So so based off of that, we have this, you know, exactly what we just looked at with the midwit video, where everyone's like, no one fucking cares. Dude, all he said, and he said it at the most appropriate time, and everything he said was true and said in a very mild, moderate, milquetoast way. This is not the hill to die on. This is not the time to try and fucking do this crusade right now. But they're not dividing the right? At a time where we're trying to have unity among the right.
But if Matt even understands the superficial aspects of Carl Schmitt, then he knows he is quoting not only a Nazi, but a major figure in the forming of Hitler's philosophy and evil enterprise. Yeah, look, just call people on the right Nazis more, right? Like, that is sure to work, right? Like, that is absolutely sure to get the result that you want, right? More likely, this is a direct or thinly veiled attack on the fundamental liberal tenets of the Constitution, where we, the people, are the sovereign. Are you? Really? Really? Right? Like, isn't we, the people, some kind of like collectivism to you people, right? And if it's we, the people, and we imported 11 billion Somalians, right, and got rid of all the Americans, right, or kept 100,000 of them, would it really be we the people who were sovereign? Oh, fuck. Instead, according to Schmitt, the sovereign makes the existential decision between friend and enemy in the political sphere. Yes, because it is the sovereign who decides when to go to war, you fucking idiot, right? Look, Trump, right, is the guy who decides when to go to war and who to go to war with, right? Trump is the guy, right? Look, the actual conception by Schmitt is the sovereign is he who decides upon the state of exception, right? So no matter how sort of well-crafted your laws are, no matter how well-crafted your system is, sooner or later, something is going to happen that is not covered by those laws, okay? Because you can't write laws for everything. Something new is going to happen. Now, when something new happens, whoever the person is that decides, right, upon that exceptional case, he is the sovereign, right? That's what fucking Schmitt is saying, right? He's not saying that it should be this way. He is merely describing that is how it is, right? It is
what
the
if
sovereign.
I told you, did you know that James Lindsay knows that for a fact? That's going to be played in the video of James Lindsay talking about Carl Schmitt, that he understands that already. Did you know that?
It's, as someone who has done a lot of political science and political philosophy, this is just fucking painful. It's like watching a fucking 4-year-old try and I know,
but we already have elements of this. Don't we have presidential immunity? We already have elements of this in a liberal democracy.
Oh, I mean, this guy's so fucking retarded, right? Oh, the sovereign is not going to be you, the people. Oh, yeah? So did the American people decide to go to war with Iraq?
Right.
Right? Did they sit down and have a referendum before they announced war with Saddam Hussein, right? Did they ask every single little fucking person in America and be like, oh, we're not going to go to war? No, of course they didn't. Don't be fucking stupid.
They don't like to use the word democracy when you're talking about that.
You can't run foreign policy like that. You actually cannot run the executive like that. The executive is literally called the executive because it makes those kinds of decisions without consulting
you need the freedom to bypass everything to get things done. And that's the criticism of communism and socialism, where it's we can't vote in everything. Nothing it's gonna fucking get done.
The point about the friend enemy distinction, right, is that there's my side and there's your side, right? And this is not the distinction is not inimicus, right, or personal hate that you might have for another person, right? It's more hostility, right? Or I don't like those people. They have different goals. They live a different way from me, right? And this is the fundamental sort of idea behind politics. And Schmitt goes on further, okay, right, to point, this is something, by the way, of course, that fucking Lindsay doesn't fucking address, right? Mm-hmm. Schmitt goes on to basically say that this is a fundamental part of how humans work, right? And that one of the problems with liberalism, right, is that it tries to completely erase this urge in humanity, right? And reduce everything to the liberal thing of we can all get along, or the capitalist thing of everything is transactional. And the more that you suppress this fundamental urge, right, and try to get everyone to fit into the same frame, when these forces do reemerge, they emerge super violently, right? Which is literally what we are seeing right now. And Schmitt basically says that the best thing to do is not to suppress these urges, not to pretend that everyone is the same, right? But to have a healthy sense of my team, your team, and to make peace, but not pretend that everyone is the same. Because if you suppress it, everyone goes fucking psycho.
The way that I interpret it is that it's the animal kingdom. We're humans, but we're civilized animals. In the most animalistic sense, animals kill and fucking eat. They kill, fucking eat. Okay?
Yeah.
And so we need to realize that underneath all of our civility in society, this does exist and people will abuse it and not give a fuck about whatever rules you make up. This is a reality, and we should be open about that reality, because if we're not, it'll just be hidden and psychopaths get to run throughout society.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Did you know that Matt Walsh retweeted Oren McIntyre? We're quite confirmed.
Wait. How do you know? Did he circle? Okay, he circled it. Now I know. Okay, yeah, that's proof right there that he did it. Now it's really important. Hold on, scroll back up. It's really important to drive this home how insidious this actually is. Jordan Henry says, because none of his fanboys are smart enough to think for themselves, Matt Walsh denies quoting Nazi Carl Schmitt by reposting Oren McIntyre, who spends a whole chapter of his book quoting Nazi Carl Schmitt, repeating Nazi.
From what I know of Oren, I don't think...
All he said was lol, by the way. All he said was lol.
But my point is, right, I'm sure like Oren references Schmitt, right, in his book, The Total State. But I cannot believe that Oren is basically like sucking his dick and saying, oh yeah, we need like, you know, the fucking total state. Yeah, I don't know.
How often does James Lindsay do a cunty passive aggressive repost with a fucking comment and say,
all the fucking time. All the fucking time.
Right. So I want to put it in James's own words. And yes. I want you guys to think if you learned more and Mr. Fist sounded more intelligent than James Lindsay. I actually love the way that you did it, to have you do it first. And then have James Lindsay go into it and see how he sounds. Now, this is a fucking 3-hour video, as he always does. It's going to be similar to the one he released like 2 hours ago. Listen to him stumble, bumble. It's not fucking edited. It's just done in one take, and he does not sound intelligent at all whatsoever. And he admits that he's fucking retarded in it. Let's
hear James from his own milky udders, right? And you can, look, you can decide whether you think I've put words in his mouth. Ew. Like, because I'm not. I'm honestly. I am really trying to be
more intelligent. You've done a better job. This is why I think you'd be good at debating, because you're very good at steel manning somebody else's position better than they can. That's how you know you're ready to have a conversation with somebody.
I do like to do that. All right, let's go.
Wanting a society with strong leadership. So Carl Schmitt had kind of two really big ideas. Who was he though? He was eventually the crown jurist of the Third Reich. I did not mispronounce that. He was Adolf Hitler's crown jurist in Nazi Germany in the 1930s and 1940s. Now, whether he was a committed Nazi or not is an open question. I've heard that he did and heard that he did not, and I don't know which is correct, and I'm not interested enough to dig into it. I found out if he renounced Nazism after...
Why would you listen to him?
He might have been a Nazi. Maybe he wasn't a Nazi.
Bro, you were just ready to pull up resources on stream to like research in real fucking time to like make the accuracy of what you're fucking saying, and you can't be bothered to fucking look it up.
Oh my fucking God, right? Like you could just go to Wikipedia, right? Or like
he's off screen.
Fucking it's so great. Look, you know, for the record, right? Like again, as I was saying, right? Like Schmitt was very reluctant about, he originally did not like either the communists or the Nazis, but like many people in Weimar Germany, they were won over to the Nazis because they saw the communists as an existential threat, right? Particularly after the fucking parliament burnt down, right? Like, oh my God, right? But you know, oh, we got Kwisatz Chatterack for $20. Goodness me, mate.
Dude?
Man. This guy fucks, right? I've read Dune, right? And not many people know this, but there's actually a secret addendum to Dune, right? Where the Kwisatz Chatterack, right, develops, he takes an incredibly large dose of spice, right? And it just makes his dick swell to the size of a continent, right? And dominates all of Arrakis. Right. And, you know, and his dick has like the power to see into the future. Right. It's like literally the size of like 100 sandworms. Like it's freaking amazing. Right.
Don't even get me started on his edging discipline, but that's not why we're here today. That'll be for a different day. OK,
the super chats must flow. Oh, thanks very much, because that's Chatterack. I really
thanks a lot, bud. Appreciate it.
OK. Oh, fuck it. You're going to make me listen.
OK, we are 30 seconds into 5 minutes right now. So let's go.
Oh, my God.
Hitler died and the Nazi regime fell in 1945. However, before the Nazis took power in 1933, he was certainly not a Nazi. He, in fact, was working very vigorously to warn von Hindenburg that the Nazis and the communists presented two huge threats to the Germans, and that what von Hindenburg needed to do was to seize unbridled executive power. An unbound executive is one of his concepts. Strong leadership, in other words. Not electing servants who are public servants who serve with extremely limited powers and checks and balances and so on with the consent of the governed, but rather an unbound executive. One of the things that Carl Schmitt laid out as a theory of political sovereignty, that a sovereign is defined by being able to be exempt from his own rules and laws. Your sovereignty means that you're not bound by anything.
We already have
you
that.
Can go.
Yes, and again,
in a liberal democracy, that's already there.
And the reason why Schmitt said this, right, was because what basically gripped Germany at the time was this concept of der Führerprinzip, right? Mm-hmm. The leader principle, right? Führer just means leader in German, right? And the idea basically was to harken back to an idea from ancient Rome, right? That when shit got really bad, you elect a dictator, right? This is where the word dictator actually comes from, right? In the Roman system, there was a function whereby when stuff got really bad, you could elect one guy to rule the country for a limited period. I think it was like 3 years, right? Because certain situations were so complicated, right? And so urgent that you couldn't spend time faffing around with like the Senate this and the Senate that, right? You needed one dude, right, to take control and fix the shit. And then the idea was once this term was over, he would give up the dictatorship and then civil government would return, right? Nobody talks about this, right? Like now, right. Okay, right? They're just to the leftist mind, the idea of the dictator is just like, yeah, Trump's the dictator. No, he fucking isn't, right? Like, and of course, right, the executive in such a system, the dictator must have supreme executive power, right? Because often these situations where you elect the dictator, shit is so fucked up, right? And so urgent.
What about when COVID happened? Do we have to vote on shit as an example when an emergency happens?
Yeah, so COVID, right, is actually the perfect example, Artie. Like, yeah, well done, old chap, right? It is a situation, right, that could not really be foreseen. I mean, they did actually have protocols and they just ignored them all. But let's not talk about that.
We understand the point. You're making a point. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to make a point. Okay. Right. So there's this horrible fucking crisis, right? And you're like, this crisis is outside of the bounds of normal law, right? It is a state of exception, right? As Schmitt would talk about it, right? And the actual quote is, sovereign is he who decides upon the state of exception, right? So the sovereign is the person who at a certain point can say, right, we are disregarding the normal rules at this point, right? Because something so bad, so pressing has happened, right? If we don't fix this shit right now, millions are going to die, right? The whole country is going to collapse. Again, right? People just act as if like, I know I've said this point before, right? But I just want to drive this home. These were not normal times, right? It's not like everything was like going fine.
Imagine if we're historically judged by COVID and only COVID without anything before or after it. Dude, exactly. You should make videos where you break down clips of James Lindsay.
Yeah, maybe I should.
That you should think about.
Would people watch that? If you would, then maybe I might do that. That'd be kind of like
it comes very naturally to you because we are a minute and a half into 5 minutes now. It's so wrong. It's so wrong all at once. I know. See, I know it's wrong. I can feel it's wrong. I can't say how it's wrong, and I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. But when you're able to articulate the exact things that are wrong with it all at once, I love it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we're a minute and a half in already. Just can't help myself, mate. Right. It's just so wrong. I can't let it pass.
Go above the rules and the laws. And so the sovereign is defined as the person who is empowered to be unbound by the law. So checks and balances be damned. So that's strong leadership. So that's already concerning because we don't really want a American dictator like an American Franco. Although they do, that's a problem. In fact, they argue on Twitter sometimes, as Mr. Haywood did today, as of this recording, that sometimes a dictator is not really that bad. Some dictators are good, some dictators are bad, blah, blah, blah. And they keep referencing back to Caesar, and they do actually do a lot of kind of Caesarism and Hail Caesar this and Hail Caesar that in the little club. These people are kind of behind this. But anyway, That's one of Carl Schmitt's big ideas. The other of Carl Schmitt's big political ideas, I didn't finish the story about what happened. So Hitler took the chancellorship because von Hindenburg did not seize unbound executive power and smash the Nazis and the communists, not necessarily.
They couldn't. Hindenburg did not have the power to do this, right?
I know, but he's even telling things sequentially out of where he then has to go back and go, but anyways, I wasn't done talking about this. He can't even tell it in a fucking coherent way.
Hindenburg had the power to smash the communists. Hindenburg did not have the power to crush the communists, right? Like this is the entire point. The communists did not care about the law. I take this personally, right? I've spent a lot of time studying this stuff, right?
Let me strap you to my bosom and pet the back of your head, and you can tell big old Artie all about it, okay?
This guy. I can really right. So the communists could not be controlled, right? They were like engaging in political assassinations, fucking firebombings, beatings, all this kind of. And the National Socialists were the only other group with enough street muscle to oppose them.
Really knowing whether or not that would work or what it would create if he did. But anyway, Hitler gets the chancellorship. Within a few weeks, Carl Schmitt joins the Nazis, rises very quickly to become a chief political philosopher and crown jurist for Hitler's Nazi party, as it ran Germany rather famously, rather badly. And so, although
actually, James, I think you will find that for about like 10 years, actually, there was this thing that was commonly known as the German economic miracle. I mean, you could look it up, right? It's on fucking Wikipedia, right? I mean, you do have access.
He has
to
a whole
Grok.
team behind him. There's employees at New Discourses, remember? There's employees and it's a company, right? It's not just him behind a fucking computer like everybody else.
This fucking guy. The thing is, right, like there are totally just legitimate criticisms you could make without like messing up history this bad, right? It's not like you can't criticize.
I know, but so think of how long, like this is a 2-hour video.
Oh
so
God.
He prattles on and tell me what part of this is not fucking midwit, by the way, dude. It's so spot on. I can't stand it.
So if I got one of his streams and reacted to it, the thing would be like 6 hours.
I'd edit it. I'd edit the whole thing and listen to it.
So people would argue, who are fans, and it turns out those people exist and maybe on the rise again, unfortunately, that it was a very efficient system. In fact, I've heard that from people who are running the kind of World Economic Forum sort of universe, that it was a very efficient system, but it got some things wrong, like the violence in particular. And so that's uncomfortable. I don't know why we'd want to go that way. But in 1932, right before Hitler took the chancellorship, which was in 33, if you know your history, Carl Schmitt published a book.
Oh, wait a second. Mate, this is a good super chat. Big time for $5 dragging his cock behind him like an engorged worm, right? $1,000, James Lindsay will refuse to speak about the Black Horror on the Rhine. Have you ever heard of the Black Horror on the Rhine?
No idea what that is.
You'll love this, Artie, right? After World War I, right, when the French occupied the Rhine, they brought over, for no particular reason, a whole bunch of black people from Algeria, right, as soldiers, right, to lord it over the German population, right? And you'll never believe what happened, man. Like, you know, you're going to be very, very surprised about this, right? There were like reports of like rapes and widespread abuse and all of this stuff. But I have been, I've been reliably informed.
My retarded American brain, Boston brain, is trying to understand what you're saying. So are you telling me that they were using black people as a biological weapon?
Yeah. But it's cool, man, because like the French investigated themselves, right? And they discovered that all of these reports were like massively exaggerated, right? And that, you know, there wasn't like any truth to it, right? It's literally like the fucking grooming gangs, right? I got in deep with Grok about this, right? And Grok was just like, oh, you know, these reports were like exaggerated. And I'm just like, yeah, where have I heard this shit before? Now this became a crucial motivation, right, for the rise of the National Socialists, right? Like the way that the people in the Rhine were treated by these black occupiers. Where have I heard that shit before? fucking good super chat there. Big time. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. Right. Enough of that tangent. Let's get on with it.
Called crap. What is it? The nature of the political, something of the political.
The concept of the political.
Dude, this whole section of the stream is killing me right now because I had no idea you were going to go into so much detail before. I thought I was going to show this video first. It's so much better to hear it afterwards and to hear him go, whatever the fucking book is. Fucking, we're not. The beacon of knowledge over here.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Back to me. I should have it in front of me, but I've read most of it. It's not a particularly unpleasant or difficult read. It's political philosophy. It sort of sucks. But
okay, so he doesn't read any political philosophy. I don't read any political philosophy either, but I don't try and trick you. Like he
doesn't understand it. It's just so
midwit.
It's like, oh yes, I actually tweeted. He actually replied to me, as a matter of fact, right? Like, it's so nice. I feel seen. I feel acknowledged, right? And he was posting about this tweet, right? This guy, Chad Crowley, right? He did this like really, really good analysis of Schmitt's work, right? And James is like, I'm not reading all of that. I'm happy for you. Or he just takes these like memes.
Well, people say that right? to James when he writes 2,500 words. This guy wrote like 500 words, and it was succinct. he doesn't understand the difference between amounts of words and the context behind them.
And I'm like, you really should read it. You might learn something, although you are loath to do that these days. And he's like, I did. And he thinks I'm telling him that he should read Schmitt. I'm literally referencing the tweet that he said that he didn't fucking read, right?
I didn't even realize that.
Oh, fucking Jesus fucking
But he's cunty about it, like a midwit, because I knew that.
I knew that.
You know what we're talking about. You stop acting.
Okay.
What he lays out in that book is this idea called the friend-enemy distinction. He, in fact, says that the essence of politics is the friend-enemy distinction. The meaning, when I say the essence of politics, it means if you were to take the moral realm and say what qualifies the moral or ethical realm and lay out moral and ethical as a kind of a realm of thought, they would have certain guidelines. And that's completely distinct from another realm that might be the physical, which is completely distinct from another realm that might be called the political. So what characterizes the political realm itself? And he says it is the distinction between friend and enemy.
And Schmitt is correct. Like this is... Lindsay is literally trying to argue against
we got seconds left.
Gravity.
Let him finish. We got seconds left.
So friends are people that you are in league with, and enemies are people that you are against. Your coalition versus their coalitions. Friends are in coalition together. At the extremes of enmity, that he says is the characterizing feature of the friend-enemy distinction, is that friends and enemies have mutual enmity toward one another. You will die for the people on your side and your friends, and you will kill people in the enemy group, your enemies. And both sides feel this way, and that actually defines the political. Now, he laments that this is how the political is defined. He wishes it were some other way, but he says at the end of the day, that's what the political always is. So it's always a conflict between our team versus their team. In other words, it is a social identity.
Yes.
So he literally reads that he wishes it wasn't this way and that it's not a prescription, it's a description of how he thinks things are. So James Lindsay, dude, I've read his books, I know. It doesn't seem to go into your brain because you're acting like he's making a prescription. And none of them can discuss this topic.
Yeah. And I see this all the time from the Lindsayite orbiters, right? They think that Schmitt is basically saying like that he wants it to be this way, right? That he loves it this way, right? He is just describing the way shit is. And because the fact that he was writing, as I was saying, in fucking Weimar, Germany, when literally the country was tearing itself apart, right? This makes perfect fucking sense. He's not saying, oh man, I love that politics works this way, right? Oh my God.
We did it. We made it through it.
Right. Sorry about that.
So don't beat your wife. Listen to Artie and Fist Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern instead. Link in the description. Goodbye.